I remember going to a Comic Con. Oh gosh, I was like in high school, and I went to a Comic Con, and they had a whole table of here are mangas. They're $5. Just pick your favorite. And there was one manga that I remember picking up and thinking, this art is ugly. Like I don't know why I picked it up, because I think it stood out because it was kind of ugly. And I was like, why? But why is it like, why is this considered manga? Because my 50-year-old self believed manga was the elegant penmanship of the black and white comic. I'm paging through it, trying to figure out, maybe this was a mistake, maybe it's a different genre that I don't know about. And I got really into the story. I remember standing there, and sometimes that happens. That's hard. That's the hard dichotomy. You got to take a chance on art that you're not used to. And I think with the day and age of, really, there's just so many things. Everyone's creating something, and you're just inundated with things. It's really hard to take your time and take a chance on something. I think that's almost kind of a shame.
I'm curious.
It's not well known. I wish I remembered the name. It was kind of like a one-shot thing. I bought it, and I moved so many times I think I lost it. But I remember the story. I remember the story. The story was about a king that was not kind. He was not very, he was so unliked by his people that he was being sent assassins to kill him, and our main character was an assassin, and it was like a love story. Your main character is going to assassinate the king, and it's like falling in love with the target kind of trope. And it was so strange because it's, especially with romance, your visuals have to be on top. Like you cannot make ugly characters in a romance. It was very strange because I didn't pick up that it was a romance at first because of the strange art. And essentially I remember it because it was actually well done, in the sense that they made that trope, what I think is kind of overdone, but they make that trope really organic, and they did it in a way where the characters aren't doing anything contrived. Everything they have chosen, every action they do makes sense to their personalities, what they want, and what's happening around them. And that's very, very hard to do. I think in any medium, that's not just comics, getting your story to happen in a organic way is a skill that I think takes a lot of time to figure out.
Oh my god, that's like my pet peeve. When I watch a movie and the character does something so out of their character, their personality. Oh, I forgot this is a movie. Why would you do that? You just pull me out of the story like that.
Well, you know? It's so fun. Romantic comedies do that a lot to me. I will watch a romantic comedy and I'll think, why did they do that? That doesn't make any sense.
Oh my god, I hate it when they have the stupidest miscommunication, misunderstandings. I actually stop a show because of that. I can't take it. I'm like, this is no real sane person would do this. How am I supposed to like these characters when they act so stupid?
I think there was a show I used to watch called Degrassi, and every character did something like that every episode. It was something almost insultingly dumb just to get the plot to go. And I remember watching this thinking, are these real people? I just could not understand. I was probably watching it too young, but I was not understanding why they were doing things because it did not make sense to me. It was inorganic. And that's funny you say that, because I think a lot of more novice storytellers will make a choice because they want the ending to occur in a way. Instead of setting things up, I'm making it sound easy. It's like one of the hardest things to do, but like, setting up your characters with a personality and a problem and versus a want to get there, they kind of like use their characters as vessels for choices, if that makes sense. It's more like, I need you to do X, Y, and Z, and you're just going to do it regardless of what everything else is going on. And we as readers, like consumers of whatever media it is, can feel it. Like, okay, writer, very good job. I saw what you did there.
I like it when personally, I hate spoilers. However, I feel that because all stories are already made, you can't think of a new story. It's about the execution, right? that's when
100%.
that's when the characters like personality shine. Because I don't know, what's a good example of characters? I think oh my god, I can only think of like two stupid characters.
Do it.
Bakugo from My Hero Academia.
I love
He would
him.
like act differently if he was, let's say, I don't know, if he was Robin Hood. They switch places, but their personality is different, so they would go about the same different way, even if they make like similar decisions.
Exactly. The personality makes the story. And there's so many tropes. And to be fair, I've never taken a creative writing class. I've never done everything I know is through reading books, like reading books and YouTube University, just whatever
Sick.
free media. That's the way to go. Don't pay for school if you can get it for free. And that's an interesting, because I've heard there's there's character driven plots, and then there's setting driven plots. And I've thought about that kind of back and forth. I am almost always familiar with the character driven plot, because the way I think about plots is things happen because people have made choices. Maybe I need to look into how setting driven plots function, because I know that's a thing. I guess I just don't understand it very much, because I don't understand how a setting can drive a plot, because then it's a character, in my opinion.
I have an example of that. I think it's like post-apocalyptic movies and stuff. That's, I think, a setting-driven plot, because it's not the character's decisions that make things interesting, it's the setting that makes the characters do interesting things.
That's interesting. I see what you mean. In my opinion, that kind of feels more like a genre. There's a genre, because ultimately the story will pick up, I'll pick a movie, because everyone I think is more familiar with that, like 28 Days Later is a zombie one. That's zombie apocalypse has happened. What we're watching isn't quite the state of society as it crumbles. We come in and it's a family who is trying to survive it, and their choices and how they survive it. To me, that's still character driven, because we're watching their struggles and their personalities and how they get through things. And again, this is me not understanding that second version. I know it exists. I've heard it so many times, it must exist. I just do not compute in here. So that's something I need to study. But I think it's fascinating. I think a lot of, you know what, I kind of like I thought of a comic that I think might be a setting driven one, now that I think about it more. There's a comic that is in you would consider post-apocalyptic, but it's so focused on how massive the world is. And I have to look it up, but the characters are immortal through advanced technologies and how they've augmented their bodies. And this character, you're just watching this character walk for pages and pages and pages and pages. And the interesting part about this comic is just the details of the background, and that we're seeing all the time, and how the metal of, you don't even know where they are anymore. You are assuming it's Earth, but it's so covered in industrial metal and just complexes that you're kind of like, I'm not sure. He's been walking, and they tell you it's like been this many days, which equates to like 30 years or something like that.
My God.
So I would assume that maybe is a setting driven plot, because he's not really making choices. He's walking through this world and we're experiencing it with him. Perhaps that's what that is.
And maybe like Ghibli movies, I feel like they feel like setting driven plots then, because it's a lot of the characters just exploring their world. It looks also beautiful and fancy, but they do have their own personalities, of course. But I feel like it's a lot to do with the world rather than the characters.
Yes, I think they are extremely good at creating worlds that are so fantastical while not being over the top. And I think that's very difficult to do. You can find yourself in that setting and be like, this is fine. Like, this is normal. Even though there's giant wolves after me, or there's spirits everywhere. It's like, I can see myself.
Do you watch movies often?
You know what? I am trying to watch more movies. I think something, as creators, I'd say comic creators, but I think all creators suffer from a sense of constantly working on their craft. And I do not take time to sit down and watch things, even though I should. I think it's better for my creative cup to fill it and get inspiration from new things. I am trying to do that more.